everybody. Welcome to another Weather Wednesday. Boy, I'm excited for today's show. We got quite a lineup for you. Today we are going to start off with a portion I like to call You've Got Mail. After that, we're going to hit a recap of the super cyclone Amphan that hit India and Bangladesh. We're going to introduce, I'd like to talk to you guys about a new Space Foundation program that we are going to be undertaking here. And we're going to forecast a special launch today. There is going to be a rocket launch that has some historic importance. And finally, we're going to wrap up with an extended forecast for the U.S. So, without further ado, let's get going. First off, you've got mail from Patty, who is a high school teacher. She asks, what is the most important concept to learn? Especially as we've been talking about severe weather recently, I would say that one of the most important concepts to learn in anything as a teacher and as a person is that everything we do has a consequence. Everything that happens has a result. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, according to Newton's third law. So, one of the most important concepts we need to understand is that the Earth is dynamic. It's constantly changing. When you poke it in one area, it's going to respond in another area. So I've talked a lot about the three basic principles of weather: heat, humidity, and pressure. And when one of those changes, something else is going to change as well. So what is the most important concept? What are the effects of any change to a variable in a situation? So I hope that helps, Patty, that everything that happens, there's going to be a consequence, either positive or negative, to that action. Now, to take a look at super cyclone Amphan. I often have to check myself to make sure I don't say typhoon or hurricane, because this cyclone, this hurricane, happened in the Indian Ocean. So here we have our clouds, our satellite model here. And as we're taking a look, you can see the development of Amphan right there. And it hit just on the eastern part of India and the western part of Bangladesh right there. And as you can see, it hit about 1 week ago today. And since it hit, there has been not a whole lot of information about about the devastation there. As you could probably guess, communication lines, electricity have been down in that area for a long time. What I can tell you, though, is so far, fortunately, the death toll that I was very concerned about, the death toll has been very low. There have been a little over 100 deaths reported, but it could have been a lot worse. And a lot of credit goes to the Indian and the Bangladesh government for creating shelters for people to go to, and really going in and scooping up and literally making people go and seek shelter. That really saved a lot of lives in India and Bangladesh. So you can see that big storm hit that area, and then what happens to it once it hits the land? It just disappears. It just completely falls apart. That's because it loses one or more of those key ingredients. In this case, humidity. It dumped a lot of rain, a lot of moisture out of the clouds, and then as it passes over land, it loses that fuel to continue going. So it really just disappears as soon as it hits the land. But it caused a lot of that ocean water to be pushed up on land. So a lot of farmers have lost their crops, and their farmland is going, because of this salty ocean water, is really not going to be usable for a year or maybe longer. So in an area of the world that already has some of the poorest people, they're definitely going to need some help in the couple years to come to survive. So still be thinking about the people in Bangladesh and Eastern India as we go. So next, we have an introduction to what the Space Foundation is going to do. Just a few minutes ago, the Space Foundation announced the beginning of what's called the Center for Innovation and Education, what we like to call CINE. So the Center for Innovation and Education is going to be a program that is going to emphasize the building of the space economic community. So space is a $415 or so billion industry right now. And what we need to do is we need to inspire the next generation, and we need to provide the pipeline of the next astronauts, the next engineers, the next people that are going to enter into this space workforce. And the Center for Innovation and Education here at the Space Foundation is going to help promote that and help guide that. So we're really excited to announce the launch of this program and hope that you will join along with us to learn more about that. If you want to learn more about that, visit our website at spacefoundation.org and look for Center for Innovation and Education. Now, another historic event going on right now is in just a few hours, the launch of Americans on an American rocket going back to space. Guys, this hasn't been done since, I believe, 2011. So it's been almost 10 years since we've had the capability to launch American astronauts back to space. And we're going to be doing that on a rocket that was built by SpaceX, as well as the space capsule, which these astronauts are going to be taking, called the Dragon capsule. That's going to happen at 4 p.m. Eastern time today, or 2 p.m. Colorado time, 1 p.m. Pacific time. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to tune in live this afternoon to see this launch. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is, well, what's the forecast? What's the weather going to be like for these astronauts as they get ready to launch? So let's take a look at the weather forecast for the Florida area at Kennedy Space Center. So this is a snapshot I got from the website wonderground.com. I use that a lot. This is a snapshot of what the probability for radar in that area for scattered storms. If you look over on the sphere here, there might be some possibility of some thunderstorms popping up. For the most part, it's going to be a pretty dry day in Florida. But there is a potential for some thunderstorms to pop up as this time of year typically happens. You can see Kennedy Space Center, just a possibility. They're calling for a 60% chance of good weather or favorable weather for launch. You can see at Kennedy Space Center if storm clouds, if it looks like this, they're not going to launch. But so far, so good. Look at that handsome looking rocket sitting on the launch pad ready to go. Can you imagine the astronauts right now? As they're waking up, they are thinking, we're going to space. We're going to space on a rocket that nobody has ever ridden before. There has been some test flights of the SpaceX rocket along with the Dragon capsule. There have been test flights, but this is the first time with humans on board. So this is going to be an amazing, amazing experience to see this thing go up, and we hope that the weather cooperates for the launch. Now, why would they wait all the way until 4 p.m., which is prime time for thunderstorms to occur? Why would they wait so long? Well, it has everything to do with where they're going. They're going to the International Space Station. And the International Space Station is in constant orbit around the Earth. And the position of that International Space Station changes all the time. It's traveling at over 17,500 miles an hour. That's pretty fast. So the International Space Station at its current orbit could be anywhere around the world. And let's pretend for a moment that this white guy right here, this white satellite, here it is, Let's pretend that this white one is the International Space Station. As he goes along here, and as we follow, you can see that he went over the US there. Now he's going to go south. Now he's going to come across Australia. As he comes up, now he's over the top of the US. And one more time around, here he comes up. And he's going to pass down right across the Florida, going south. But if we keep going in after several more orbits, he's going to line up to be perfectly right across Florida, right here. Here he comes. Oop, where'd he go? Here he is. And let me tilt this down so you can see. So here he is, perfectly lined up with Florida. So you have to launch at a perfect time. This is called the launch window. So the launch window is set for 4 p.m. today. And so it's a very important time that they hit that window just right so that the astronauts can then meet up with the International Space Station as it's orbiting the Earth. So that's why we have to wait so late in the day to launch these astronauts. If you have any questions regarding that, please let us know on our social media platforms. We'd love to answer these questions. It's so fun to talk about space, and I'm sure you guys have lots of questions about that. Now, to wrap up for today, what I'd like to do is look at the extended forecast for the United States. And the extended forecast is more looking at June, July, and August as a snapshot. And we're going to look at both the hurricane forecast as well as the temperature forecast. First off, here is the hurricane forecast according to 3 different departments. We have NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Colorado State University, which is a really good research facility for weather and for the atmosphere, and then the Weather Company, which you may tune into, the Weather Channel on the TV. And so what they're talking about here is they're predicting how many hurricanes there's going to be. So first off, how many storms are going to receive a name, and you have to get up to a certain pressure and wind speed in order for it to become a named storm. Another step above that for severity is hurricane. This is a prediction for how many hurricanes we expect to get. And then, again, increasing in severity there, we have Category 3 or higher hurricane. Here is the average for the last 30 years. There have been 13 storms named storms during the hurricane season on average. 7 of those become hurricane strength. 3 of those become Category 3 or stronger. These 3 departments or these 3 organizations are predicting higher than normal named storms, higher than normal hurricanes, and a little bit higher than normal strong hurricanes to be formed. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to affect the United States, because we don't know exactly where these hurricanes are going to go. We just predict that these storms are going to form in the Atlantic basin, or in the Atlantic Ocean. So that is something that we are going to keep a close eye on here at the Space Foundation Discovery Center, and for our Weather Wednesdays of the future, we're going to keep a close eye on this. Typically, these hurricanes don't form until August and September. 95% of these storms occur, or 95% of hurricanes occur in the August and September months. So definitely something to keep an eye on a little bit later this summer. Now, why so many hurricanes? Why above average predictions for these hurricanes? Well, so far, NOAA is also predicting that the temperatures are going to be slightly higher than normal. So remember the 3 ingredients for storms. You need heat, humidity, and pressure. Well, heat is going to be a little bit higher than normal. And so you can see throughout the whole United States here, particularly the west part, is going to see a warmer than average summer. Why is this warmer than average? Well, the whole world has been warmer than average. Over the last 4 months, from January to April, we have experienced either the warmest month or the second warmest month in history. So over the last 4 months, we have been extremely warm around the world, and this is also going to feed that cycle, go into that system, just like Patty was asking the question, what is the most important concept? Well, how do these things work? If I add more heat to the system, what is the reaction going to be? What is the consequence going to be? So here we have a warmer than average, by far warmer than average last 4 months for the year. Also, as we take a look at sea surface temperatures around the world, this is a fun one. Let me start it spinning here so you can see. The reds are warmer water than usual. So this is looking at sea surface temperature. Warmer water than usual. Blues are colder water than usual. You can see it kind of fluctuates around. But as I get closer to today's date, pretty close to today's date here, you can see that looking around over the last couple months, it's been quite a bit red. So warmer waters than usual around the world. So sea surface temperatures, and in particular, here's the area where hurricanes develop, is either over the Atlantic Ocean here or in the Gulf of Mexico here. And you can see that the temperature, sea surface temperature, has been warmer than usual over the last several weeks. And that trend is going to continue into the summer, where the warm water is going to evaporate more, and so there's going to be more humidity going into the atmosphere. So all these ingredients really point to a kind of a possible stormy hurricane season. And this heat and humidity is also going to add to the weather that occurs over the United States. So we're going to see a little bit more severe weather over the Midwest. We're going to see drier conditions in the Southwest. As per usual, when you get this a lot of heat going on. And we're just going to have to take it week by week to see about the rest of the United States. So stay with me over the course of this summer as we do some more Weather Wednesdays and take a look at the weather where you are. So if there's a place that you want me to take a look at forecasting weather, let me know. For now, thank you for watching. I know this has been a long video, but man, we've covered a lot, and looking forward to hearing from you guys what you want to learn about. Thank you for joining me. Congratulations to the 2 astronauts, hopefully going up into space today. Stay with us at the Space Foundation here. Keep connected to us with all of our social media platforms, because we will be continuing to update you guys about today's launch and about today's announcement for the Center of Innovation and Education. So thank you for joining me, and look forward to seeing you next time on Weather Wednesday. See ya. Done?
Yep.
19 minutes?
Right about, yeah. But not that we didn't lose viewership, and
Say that again? We didn't?
lose any viewership.
Yeah.